Hello, welcome or welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. I've got a knitting video for you today and it's another of my 12 cast-ons making vlogs. If you're new to the channel or if you're not aware of the 12 cast-ons, it's a little make-along that I host at the end of each year going into the beginning of the next, and I spend 12 days casting on 12 new projects to hopefully set myself up for my year or my year's worth of making. Sometimes it takes me a lot longer than a year to get each of these projects finished. I've got playlists for the last few years of 12 cast-ons, so if you'd like to find out more about that adventure then I shall link them somewhere up above or down below. The last couple of years the community has really got behind this make-along and we have a giant cast-on party, and over the last couple of years I've decided it would be fun to also share the progress of these projects as I work on them, and when the projects get finished I share a little vlog about each one showing where and when and how I progress each of the projects, so we kind of track the journey, the adventures of each of the projects as we go along. It's the 1st of April 2023 as I am recording this. I have been asking the lovely YarnNYarns community to get involved to help me pick some priorities for my project making each month. So this month the lovely Lynn has asked me to work on the Heptagon Time Shawl, which is a pattern that I cast on day 3 of our 12 cast-ons make along this last year. I'm knitting mine from lots of different hand spun yarns. Let me see if I can let you know who the designer of the Heptagon Time Shawl is. Yes, I can. It's from the Mouse Army is what it says on the bottom of the pattern, so I shall have a link to my pattern page where you can follow links to the pattern if you're interested in it. But it's a very adaptable pattern in terms of there's a certain number of rows in each repeat and you just keep going until the shawl is as big as you want. So you can more or less knit this shawl in any gauge of yarn that you wish. You'll just need to match your needle size and get a fabric that you're happy with. And I decided to use this as an excuse to get some hand spun yarns on the needles that I wasn't really sure what to do with otherwise. I spun up a couple of really fun art bats. The bats were gifted to me by my lovely friend Jeanette. They contained lots of different fibres, lots of different colours. I spun them up as singles yarn just as a kind of fun experiment. I think I may have a video on the channel because I think one of these was my first attempt at spinning an art bat. So if I can find that video then I'll pop it again in the cards up above or down below if you're interested in seeing the spinning of at least one of these yarns. I had fun with the bats and then they kind of languished in my hand spun stash for a while because I wasn't quite sure what to do with them. So I used these fun yarns as my starting point for the Heptagon Time Shawl. Paired these kind of mystery fibres with a couple of other yarns from my stash. I had one more big skein of yarn that contained mystery fibres. These were some rolags that I purchased from Alternate Universe. I spun them up on my support spindles. These were all rolags made from sort of waste fibre, so from bat and rolag making sessions there usually is a little bit of leftover. Fun spinning these up on my support spindles. I 3-plied this yarn, so I'm using lots of different kinds of yarn here, so hopefully it will all work out okay. I've got singles yarn, 3-ply yarn, so I've got this really bright highlighter green that's completely blowing out on the camera here. This was some Blueface Leicester, I believe, from Curio Stitches. To echo some of the colours in the art bat, there were some darker colours. I decided to add in a little bit of black because this is going to become very colourful very quickly, so I think a little bit of black threaded through every now and then will look quite nice and help sort of tone things down a little bit. On the first day of the cast-ons I spun up this fibre from my fibre stash. It's either merino or corriedale, I can't remember off the top of my head now. I will link the cast-on video for this project somewhere up above or down below if you want to go back and watch that if you haven't. Got lots of fun hand spun yarns living in my bucket bag from Emma of Eldenwood Craft, and I just need to knit. This is where I got to on the first day of the cast-ons. I'm just going to have so much fun with this. The colours are so bright and out there and just kind of ridiculously over the top that when I get this finished it's not going to fail to make me smile every time I reach for it. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Be starting to work on that throughout April, and we'll see how much I can get it progressed by the end of the month. I don't think I've checked in for this vlog since I recorded the intro, the very start, back at the beginning of April. It's now the 29th of April, the last weekend, so today and tomorrow, it's Saturday, today and tomorrow, and then April is done. Can't quite believe how fast this month has gone by. I've been plugging away a little bit at my Heptagon Time Shawl. I haven't made a ton of progress. This month I've really been concentrating on the baby blanket that I had on the needles, but between times I have picked this up a little bit, so it's grown somewhat. The marker here shows where it was after the first day of cast on, and therefore where I picked up at the beginning of the month. So I've added maybe 4 or 5 inches, just slowly, a row here or there, and I'm having a lot of fun with this yarn. There are some fabulous textures in this yarn that I spun up from some art bats, and I'm really pleased that I'm getting the opportunity to work with them just because it is so fun. I'm going to see how much more I can get done on this today, and then that will be my progress for the month. So some progress, but not as much as I would have hoped, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. It's been a very nice kind of relaxing in the background kind of project. Just pick up and add a row or two. It's a 4-row sort of pattern repeat. It's very simple, so each time I've picked it up I've just added another 4 rows, and I've been swapping in my colours as and when I feel like it. I've got this little nugget left of one of my balls of art yarn, so I think my goal is going to be to work through at least this. I think there should be at least 4 rows through there. If I can get another 8 rows done today, that would be amazing, but the rows are getting quite long now, so we'll see how we go. This is just such a fun fun project, and it's definitely given me sort of Halloweeny witchy vibes with these colours. I'm gonna love it when it's done. I'm gonna love it so much. Well, hello there. This is the part of the vlog where I probably need to hang my head in shame. No, there's no shame here. You've probably heard me say multiple times on the channel that I don't mind how long my projects take. This one does seem to have been on the needles for an unnecessarily long period of time. I think the last time I recorded for this vlog was back in 2023. Something like that, I think. You'll know better than I am at this point because you'll have just watched the last clip. It's now March 2025. Oops. And this is what my Heptagon Time shawl is looking like. I've just done my rolling the dice for picking my March projects, and I was able to squeeze in the Heptagon Time shawl. I'm feeling really motivated to work on another handspun shawl at the moment. Last month I was working on a traveller shawl, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry that I knit from a combo spin that I spun specifically for that shawl, and I've got it finished up and it's turned out beautifully. So yeah, I'm feeling motivated to continue the handspun shawl love and put in some work on this. I'm going to, I think, continue my little tactic that I started in February, so last month. In February I worked on a whole jumble of different projects. I didn't really stick to any one thing. I didn't do a makings plan. I just did a random number generator, and I picked projects and I worked on them for about 3 days at a time. While I do have my set list of projects to work on this month, I've got 2 sweaters, this shawl and a couple of pairs of socks. I think I'm going to employ that same tactic where I work on something for 3 days and then I'll switch it out with one of my other March projects. So it's Sunday as I'm recording this. I think I'm currently working on one of my sweater projects, and I think I'm going to time this so that I pick it up next Friday, because we're going away for a weekend with a couple of our lovely friends, hopefully. We never know what's happening in our life at the moment with family shenanigans. So at this point in time, we plan to go away with our friends next week. I feel like this would be a really fun project to take with me because it's just knitting backwards and forwards with a few increases here and there. So definitely something I can do in company. Looking forward to getting back to this one and adding some progress. So yeah, I shall no doubt check in with you after my weekend away, and hopefully I might be able to share some nice footage from the weekend away as well. We're going to North Cotswolds.
if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make any difference? Would it change for the better if I wrote you a poem, if I posted a letter? Is it maybe because I never knew quite where I was, and suddenly you told me, baby, you're lost, but I am too, whatever the cost will make.
We're back from our lovely weekend away in the Cotswolds with some of our dearest friends. We had such a lovely weekend, very restful, very relaxing. We did a little bit of pottering around. We went to a National Trust garden, we went to one of the lovely beautiful Cotswold villages, and then just lots of time hanging out in the cottage that we'd rented, reading, knitting, catching up, eating good food. And it was exactly the reset that both James and I needed. So hopefully now loins have been girded and we're ready to face what the next few weeks and months are going to throw at us. Anyway, enough of that. A quick check-in with my Heptagon Time Shawl. So I managed to work on this a fair amount at the weekend. There wasn't as much knitting time as usual. I did quite a bit of reading, which was nice, like actual physical book reading. I do a lot of listening to audiobooks, but it's the first time in a while I sat down and read a physical book, which was really nice. So that kind of took up a big chunk of my time, but I did manage to get some knitting in. And the marker here is where I was when I picked this up, and so I've added a good few inches to this now, and the rows are getting so long. It's taking much longer to knit a row now. I need to figure out how far I want to go. This is a pattern where you just go until the project is as big as you want it to be. I think I want it to be at least my wingspan. If I move over, I'm about 2/3 of the way there probably. I'm a little bit worried though about adding that length because it's getting quite deep already, so it's going to be quite a bulky shawl, I think. So at some point I might need to just pop it onto some cord extenders and just properly spread it out to see where we are. I think it should be okay. I'm just having fun striping in my colours as and when I fancy. It's a nice straightforward knit. It's a 4-row pattern repeat with a one increase row every 4 rounds. Now that we're back home, I'm probably going to put this aside for a week or so to work on some of my pattern projects that need a little bit more of my attention, and then I'll put this in reserve for later in the month. I think there's probably going to be at least one more weekend where I go away, so I might reserve this for that weekend, and then once I've made a bit more progress on my other projects for March, I'll come back to that one. At the end of March I had an opportunity to go away with a couple of lovely friends for a night in Aberavon, which is a town over on the coast of West Wales, and we had a lovely day on Saturday exploring the town, and we also met some other folks shall I say who were out on an adventure exploring the town too. Aberavon has a very iconic harbour with lots of multicoloured houses, and I forgot to take any footage, partly because there's lots of works going on there and partly because I was just enjoying the time with my friends. We did spend a little bit of time on the coastal area of the town watching this storm over the sea, which was fabulous. The place that we were staying was out in the countryside, and you could overlook a field with some lovely sheep friends, which was amazing. We had a nice clear bright day on Saturday, but then when we woke up on Sunday it was very misty and foggy, and you can see from this shot how close the sheep were to our little cottage. I'm filming this from inside the cottage. Very misty and overcast, which felt like the perfect weather to go and cut up in bed and do a little bit of knitting on my Heptagon Time Shawl. I took this shawl and a sock project away with me. We were only away for a night, or at least two of us only went to visit our friend for a night. The other person was staying for a whole week. Lucky them. So yeah, I managed to add a row or two to my Heptagon Time Shawl, but I couldn't see the sheep from my room, my bedroom where I was sleeping, so it wasn't long before I was tempted back out into the main part of the house to do a little bit more sheep watching. And I'm so glad I did, because I got to see this little family of black sheep. We'd only seen white sheep the previous day, so that was so cute, and it was a lovely break. Sometimes it doesn't take much, does it? One night can make a real big difference. So I'm grateful to my lovely friend Catherine for inviting us along to hijack part of her holiday. A week has passed, lovely friends. I've added a couple of rows to this project, and I've actually run out of my first yarn, so I need to make a decision now as to how long to carry on for. And I think I'm going to try and work through the other sort of brighter art yarn that I've got in my project bucket and see how far that takes me. It's Sunday today, and it's Mother's Day, which is always a bit of a bittersweet day for me. If you followed a while, you know that my mum passed away 19 years ago. We had a good relationship, and I still miss her a lot, especially on these occasion days. James is away up in Yorkshire celebrating Mother's Day with his mum, so I'm home alone. I'm going to try and keep myself busy and have a nice day. So I'm planning to go down to the beach to add a few rows to my Heptagon time. Just a little bit of time outside I think will be nice. And I'm also going to cook myself up a massive pot of vegetable chilli to keep myself fed. James is going to be away for about 2 weeks. Yeah, I need something quick and easy that I don't have to fuss around with. So yeah, before we head out, I'm going to share with you a little bit of cooking ASMR, because people like that, don't they? I seem to see a lot of ASMR type videos, so yeah, enjoy some cooking shenanigans. Okay, enough of that malarkey. It's time to clean up the kitchen chaos, make myself a nice flask of tea, and head out down to the beach for an hour or so of knitting time, hopefully, if the weather holds up. Oh, and of course, before I am allowed to leave the house, I have to make a little bit of fuss of my lovely cat Newt. She doesn't like to be left out of the action.
We'll make it through. Tell me you're the one for me now, 'cause what am I supposed to do? If you are not the one for me, then tell me now what I could do. If I told you that I don't know where I'm going, don't know what to say, but I go without knowing.
spent a lovely hour or so down on the beach knitting away on my shawl. As I was about to leave, the lifeboat came back in. There's a lifeboat station right down the front of the Esplanade in Penarth, where I live in South Wales. There seemed to be any non-lifeboat personnel on board, and neither were they towing anything in, so hopefully the call out wasn't for anything too bad. It's always fascinating to watch this process as they come back in and the tractor pulls them back up to the lifeboat station.
Tell me you're the one for me now, 'cause what am I supposed to do? If you are not the one for me, then tell me now what I could do. Tell me you're the one for me now. I pray that you believe it too, that you're the only one.
What a lovely way to spend my morning. I also looped round to the shop before I came back home, and I treated myself to some of my mum's favourite flowers, which are tulips, and I popped them into a jug which was actually one of hers. I think this must be from the 70s. We've got a jug and a set of glasses in this sort of blue glass. We never use them to drink out of, so I decided to pop my tulips into that glass vase today. I thought I'd share with you also a couple of pictures I've got of me and my mum, one from when I was very little and the other from my graduation day. So yeah, happy Mother's Day, Mum. I ended my day with some more knitting and catching up on some podcasts. I'm watching the lovely Marina skewer here, and for anyone who is interested, the vegetable chili was absolutely delicious and I enjoyed my dinner immensely. Hey lovely friends, I have been procrastinating on this project for a few weeks, as I often do. You know me by now. So I think the last time I checked in was the very end of March, and I have managed just about to get to the end of my second art yarn that I had in my bag for this project. I've got this teeny tiny amount left. Which is certainly not going to be enough to knit a row. These rows are very long now. There are many stitches here on this shawl. I've popped it onto a barber cord, and you might have seen this when I did my March making wrap up, because I wanted to figure out what to do with this shawl next, how much larger I wanted it to be. I've still got a reasonable amount of my black yarn, a little bit of my highlighter green yarn, and I've still got a lot of the third yarn that I put in this project bag to pop into this project. This I have used a couple of times throughout my shawl, but it's much darker, duller, more muted than the two spun art yarns that I popped into this project. So I've been using it sort of sparingly throughout. My dilemma has been that this shawl is not quite long enough to be a good wrap around. It's just about, but not quite, and I think if I wear this as it is, like this, it's easily going to slip off from around my neck because there's not enough length in the side. However, when I was faffing around with it, I was kind of wearing it looped over one shoulder as almost like, you know, more traditional sort of shawl, and I really like it like that. And I think I could definitely wear this if I have a shawl pin. I think it would be fine like this. I've been procrastinating on what to do, so that's why it's been sat for a couple of weeks. But the time has come to make a decision because it's Easter weekend, the end of April, as I'm recording this. Not quite the end of April, it's like the 16th, 17th, 18th of April, something like that. And one of my April projects that I picked to work on is the Shift cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I told myself I would not pick up the Shift until I finished this. And so with only a couple of weeks left in April, I want to make some progress on the Shift, and so it's time to finish this project one way or another this weekend. I think I have decided that I'm going to add a few more rows of my black and green combination, probably until the green runs out. Although they look fairly similar quantity wise, this black is quite a bit thinner than the green. I think there's maybe 4-6 rows that I can get if I alternate these two, and then I think I'm just going to cast off with the black, or if I don't have enough to cast off with the black, I'll cast off with that other yarn that I've got in my bag, and then I shall be able to call this shawl finished, and I think I'll be happy with that. I do love all of the bright colours in this shape. Just lends itself to being worn in a bit more of a sort of traditional way. It's quite, even though it's not very wide, sort of width wise, wingspan wise, it's quite deep. It goes down past my bust, so the longer I make it, the deeper it's going to get, and I feel like if I make it too big, I won't reach for it. So I think binding this off now, or after a few more rows, and wearing it with a shawl pin is going to be the best option.
But you're the only one for me, and I'm the only one for you. If I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper.
My shawl is finished. It's time to wrap up this vlog. I cast off a few weeks into April in the end. What I did, as mentioned in the last clip, was I just added a few more rows to the bottom of the shawl. So it hasn't really grown that much since you last saw it. I was only able to get 2 rows out of the leftover sort of fluorescent yarn, and then I managed to get a couple of rows out of the black, and that was all. For some of the rows I held the black double because I wanted to try and use up as much as possible. I'd spun up the black specifically for this project. Right at the very end I realised I wasn't going to have enough yarn to last me through the cast off, so the last few stitches in the cast off are actually a single strand. But because there's so much texture in this shawl, you can't really tell that I've done that. I had this teeny tiny amount of black left, barely a gram of yarn. So yeah, I'm really happy that I managed to use up the 2 art yarns plus the 2 sort of contrast colours. And I think I took a shot of this drying on the line. Usually I would dry my knitwear flat, but I wanted to try and make the most of these points if possible, and I thought a bit of weight from the water while it was drying would help that. I also pop some pegs on the points to try and make them a little bit more of a feature, and I think it worked out quite nicely. So yeah, maybe slightly shorter than I would like for a shawl where I'm going to sort of wrap it around myself. But as I say, I think I am most likely to be wearing this as a proper sort of off the shoulder type shawl, if I can figure it out while I'm on camera. The shape sort of lends itself to that. So yeah, it's quite deep. It goes past my bust line, but I think this will, yeah, provide a nice bit of warmth in the winter if I wear it like this. So if you have any recommendations for a shawl pin or a shawl cuff, a maker of those things that you think might go with this shawl, then I would really appreciate those in the comments below. I was thinking about one of those sort of leather shawl cuffs might look quite nice on this, as opposed to anything sort of too delicate. I'm not sure. What do you think? Let me know. So much fun. I think I'm going to really enjoy wearing this when the time comes. It's way too hot here in South Wales now. We're into May and we've had a couple of weeks of really warm weather, so even having one layer of wool over my shoulders is a bit too hot, particularly up here in the craft attic. I'd like to say Thank you once again to Mairead for gifting me this pattern a few years ago now. As you know, this project's been on the needles for a few years. It's been such a fun way to just play around with colour and texture, because the pattern is one of those sort of recipes rather than a pattern where you pick your own yarn and needle size. It's been just perfect for using up these art yarns, these textured yarns that were in my handspun stash. I also had a lot of fun just playing with my colours. I just switched things out as and when I fancied it. There's no sort of rhyme or reason. Some of the bands of colour are bigger, some of them are skinnier. So yeah, I just went with whatever I was in the mood for at the time that I was working on the project, which I think has worked out quite well. I love the blips of texture in the yarn from these art bats. It makes me want to spin more. I can really see like a simple sweater or a vest in something very textured like this. So yeah, there might be some more intentionally textured spinning in my future for a project like that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed following along my adventures of knitting this shawl. Let me know in the comments below whether you have any favourite patterns that perhaps are more what I would call recipe like than patterns. So something that you can use any kind of yarn for. You just pick and choose your yarn and your needles. I'd love to know if you have any patterns like that you would recommend. Also, if you are a spinner and you enjoy spinning textured art yarns, I'd love to know what you enjoy working them up into, or are the yarns just the end goal? I mean, they're beautiful products in themselves, but yeah, if you have any particular projects that you like to use your more textured yarns in, any particular patterns that you can recommend, I'd love to know that too. If you have neither of those recommendations for me, please just let me know what you've been working on recently. What is the last project that you finished? I'd love to know. I look forward to hearing from you and chatting with you in the comments below. I will of course be back again soon with some more making content, so I hope you will join me for the next video. Until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.